He's the Lord of Lords and his name is Jesus. He is the King of Kings.
When we went into ministry, there was such momentum in Christian Outreach Centre. They were planting churches all over Australia. Basically, they said, there's getting no more towns and cities in Australia, but there's getting more of us. And we will just multiply and go into all the world and plant churches. The leader at the time said, Ashley, we need a father to go to Europe and to the UK to raise up churches. And that night I couldn't sleep. I kept thinking that God's calling me. I have to go to the UK. And so with that, God gave me a word that some place south of London, in the first 2 months, I will show you where.
For me, it was difficult to leave Australia and come here, but having a real word from God in my own heart just really gave me that, the water on which to walk. I got a letter from somebody in Australia, and that person said, there's a group of people near Brighton, and they would like to hear from you what God is doing. And so we contacted them, and they said, a group of us meet on Tuesday nights to pray. And so we're really praying for God to do something fresh in our city.
After being in Rottingdean, being in Brighton, the night afterwards, the Lord spoke to me, and he said these words, I have many bruised and scattered and misunderstood and hurt people in that city. I want you to gather and train.
People just gathered. We had planned to advertise, but we didn't even get to advertise that we were going to start a new church because people just told everybody. It was like word of mouth, and people started gathering. And after that, we had to meet in hotels because there were too many people to fit in a home.
The first Sunday meeting, we met at the Preston Resort Hotel, and it I think 20 people came in the morning and 60 people in the evening. They said, where are we meeting next week? But there was only room in that building for 60 people. And I said, well, we'll have to meet here. So the following morning, Sunday morning, there was 60 people. In the morning, full up. But evening, it was 120 people. So on the second week, 120 people. They were looking through windows. They were looking through the corridors, peering over each other's shoulders,
Amazing.
Trying to see what was happening in the meeting. I thought after that, this is going to be amazing. I mean, nothing had been advertised.
Such a move of the Holy Spirit.
It was anticipation.
People kept coming, didn't they?
There was all these people coming, hungry for God. There was joy, there was fun, there was laughter, there was excitement, there was vision. There was all these people that were like on transition, on a journey, who didn't even know each other, but were coming together for this vision. I got a call on Monday morning from the hotel manager. He said, is that Pastor Smira there? I said, yes, that's me speaking. These were his words. He said, Pastor Smira, I'm very happy that you're meeting with a lot of success in your meetings, but you're changing the atmosphere of my hotel. We got a lease on a building next to the railway station in Hove, but it wasn't decked out for church. It was just a concrete shell, really. But to build all these workers that would come and wanted to lay bricks, build the toilets, do the rooms, do the painting, and the finance just flowed. And because we wanted it to be a base for running a training school, and it was to be a church and a training school. So the excitement of moving in was incredible, really. I mean, the vision, it felt like we were about to go into all the world and preach the gospel. The people had excitement.
The Bible says, your people will be volunteers in the day of your power. And there were so many volunteers. People just gave of their time. People gave of their finance. So the building was actually transformed into what we would call an apostolic base. We knew that we were not just to establish a local church, that we were to establish an apostolic base that would be a training center to raise up people in the gifts and the callings of God on their lives, so that they could then go out and minister the gospel, the good news to people with the power of the Holy Spirit.
we had people coming regularly from Australia. Some of the senior leaders of Australia were all behind us in this. We weren't just doing it alone. We always knew that the warehouse was only temporary. It was a lease in an industrial estate. We always knew that. But there was a man, a senior leader from Australia called Dave McDonald, and he came and he was doing a conference for us in that building. And he, just as he spoke, he said, "Ashley, there's a building south of here. No, it's southwest of here, which God has for you to move into." So he prophesied exactly a southwest line from the last building to where the new premises is. He says, in that building will be all the facilities you will need to do the work that God has called you to do. So with that, we started looking what buildings could be southwest, and then someone found this building here. But so when we found the building, and then we had to renovate it. And I thought, man, well, this is an old computer manufacturing building. There wasn't fire exits and for big meetings. So I thought, what will I do? And I have a friend in Australia called Dave Harney. He's a builder. He was in our last church. And I rang up Dave. I said, "Dave, I really got a problem." I said, "We're buying this building. I have no idea what to do with it." He said in that same conversation, he said, "Ashley, say no more." I feel like this is emotional because I didn't know what to do. Yeah. I didn't know what to do. He said, "Ashley, say no more. I will come with a team and I will do it all for you. Just buy the materials, I'll do the rest. You haven't got to do anything." And he was there for 3 months, and he renovated the building and made it more livable for us, for the church to move into.
And this is where we are today.
And to have seen God move so much with people all involved from Australia to here to want to be a part of this vision because they believe in the future of this church.
It's so wonderful to be part of a movement across the world, a group of people with a common vision based upon the simple and profound gospel of Jesus Christ, being able to support each other and develop and establish churches that will truly influence our world for Christ.
Well, David and Jackie had been a part of the church right from, I first met them in our house in a midweek home group. And they were in charge of new Christians and then became church pastors. It was very obvious the call of God that was on David and Jackie to be the pastors of the Brighton Church. And together with the calling that God had called Ruth and I to be a mother and father in the faith to those that were being sent out to establish churches across the UK and then we had churches in many countries of Europe. So we were being called to be a father as we had said yes, that's what we would do. And so the whole thing worked together with David and Jackie being raised up and now pastoring the church and us doing the work that was across the UK and across Europe.
I don't think we ever, if we're really honest, felt called to lead the church, to be honest. I think
one thing led to another, really, and we found ourselves saying yes to things and
we said
loving
yes a lot.
serving.
Yeah.
But then suddenly we were pastors.
To our great surprise, to the surprise of our families, and probably to the surprise of the congregation as well, I suspect. Ashley and Ruth were travelling more and more. Their roles was obviously becoming more global and across the movement. And so they were more and more abroad or in other churches. And so it was our privilege to be home-based. It was an incredible time. It was, I suppose it was a little bit of a shock to the system, if I'm absolutely honest. Carrying the weight of senior pastor it's an amazing privilege. It's incredibly exciting. It's hugely rewarding, but it also comes with some challenges too. But it was really an extraordinary journey, wasn't it?
It really was. And we were initially on the lower floor in the building, and that was great, but we had hundreds of people, and so it was actually quite crowded, and there were the pillars there, and when people jumped up and down, if they jumped too high, they'd hit the ceiling because the ceiling was quite low. So it was really exciting, the point when we knew we were going to move upstairs.
Yes, there was a real rise in the church to having a proper auditorium, a space where we could expand, we could use, and be used for other purposes too.
We had an incredible team who just came together, and I think it was just wonderful going in each day and seeing so many of the church just lifting hammers, breaking down walls. It was just such an exciting time where we all worked together, and it was an incredible job, wasn't it?
It was, it was a real church, it was a whole church project. And, people who wouldn't consider themselves handy at all were painting and, doing things and making coffees. And,
some better than others.
Some better than others. Some, I seem to remember we banned some from participating.
You banned me from participating.
Yes, doing more damage than good. But it was lovely, and it really brought the church together.
Yeah, the opening that we did was really exciting. We invited a band called Delirious to come and do a concert for us, and I remember standing in that concert, and there was about 700 young people jumping up and down on the ground, and you felt the ground going up and down, and I was thinking, we've just built this place and we're all going to just go through the floor. But it was so loud that we're told that people could hear the music 2 miles away. And some people who live nearby said their coffee cups moved along their work surfaces because the vibration from the concert. But it was just so exciting.
It was amazing. I met one of the band a few years later, and I said, you won't remember, but you did a gig for us at CityCoast. And he said, oh, we do remember. He said that was one of the loudest gigs we have ever done anywhere in the world. So even by their standards, it was loud, but it was an amazing night.
We were really privileged to be the European headquarters for INC. So it was fantastic because we ran the main conferences from here. And that gave us an incredible connections really globally with incredible people and the churches, and a real sense for us as a church how the world is small.
Those were really life-changing times where people were refreshed, reinvigorated, healed, touched. People, as a result of the conferences, felt to go and plant churches and do all sorts of things. And there was just amazing fruit from each of these conferences in different ways. And it just connected us with the other churches in this country and also around the world.
This is an incredible city, the city of Brighton, and it's been really exciting to see some of the projects that have been initiated, whether that's through some of the church programs we've done, such as working with the homeless, or whether that's different people have initiated incredible projects that we've been working in this city. It's been
and I think that's been an incredible thing over the last 30 years, because I do remember going to a prayer meeting about nearly 30 years ago with other church leaders in Brighton. Amazing people, but there was a consistency of the prayer was basically along the lines of, dear Lord, please deliver us from the black hole of pastoring. And,
the black hole of Brighton.
And it wasn't a particularly happy picture, to be absolutely honest. But since then, there has been just an incredible coming together and unity. There wasn't much unity among churches, I don't think. But now it's totally different. And it's just an amazing thing, the joy of coming together and praying. Brighton has some amazing churches, of which we are just one, and it's just brilliant that we're brothers and sisters together. When I was 55, I really felt God say to hand the church over, that we should hand the church over when I was 60. And I knew it was God, and although at the time we didn't have any ideas to who would succeed us, and because I've seen too often church leaders will hang on too long. I'm not saying that 60 is a cutoff; it's different for different people, but for us, we felt it was the right time, and so we worked towards that. But we didn't have any idea as to who
And we didn't believe in nepotism, but Jamie and Vicky God just showed us so clearly that they were absolutely the right people, didn't they?
Absolutely, and as has been shown to be the case, and when they took over, the church just absolutely went upwards in an amazing way. They brought vision and leadership and godliness and just so many other things.
And it was just the right timing. It really was the right time. And we're so enjoying being part of the church under Jamie and Vicky and loving serving in the church. So for us, it's been a really exciting, continues to be a really exciting time for us.
It does. It's amazing that, pretty well every Sunday in our church, there's Ashley and Ruth on the front row, David and Jackie on the front row, and Jamie and Vicky on the front row. And so you have the founding pastors, and their position will never be taken from them, then those that carried on us, and then the current pastors. I wonder how many churches where you've got 3 generations of pastors still loving church, thrilled about where the church is going and excited at what God's doing. I would dare say that's an exception rather than
I agree.
A rule.
Those years of serving the youth ministry here at CityCoast, they really were some of the greatest times of our lives. Every Friday night, seeing young people from every different background come and make a decision to follow Jesus. There's just nothing like it. For me, I think I always felt a call that maybe at some point we would be involved in leading a church or step into pastoring. I think it was just buried under a lack of confidence and lack of belief in that call.
Yeah, I think for me it was a bit different. Purely from we both were able to grow up in church, which was such an amazing privilege. Be so involved in all different teams. I feel like all the wide variety of teams you can be involved in church. And I think, just God kind of birthing in me that real passion for the local church and how anything that we can do or I can do to just love people and serve God in however He wants me to serve.
We had a 5-year transition plan, and part of that time we spent 8 months in Australia with Pastor Ross and Kathy Abraham and our amazing INC family out there, and that was just incredible. And after those 5 years, it was September 2018, and we had 3 weeks where we wanted to just honor David and Jackie, my parents, for the incredible way that they had led and what they had built. And they spent 17 years fighting battles we could never fight and bringing such help to the church. Vicky and I just felt like what an honor and privilege that we get to be a part of what they had served and built.
Yeah, it was so amazing. And I think then when we went into the Vision Sundays, it was just so inspiring, really, seeing David and Jackie on the car park on host team, waving people into the building, how to park and everything. And it was just amazing seeing their support, but also their legacy.
2019 was just one of the most amazing years, wasn't it? It was a year of growth, of momentum. There was such a sense of what God was building. And one of the key phrases that came out in that year was church in progress. We just felt God saying, you are a church in progress. You haven't arrived at your destination, but He has so much more for us. And so we felt we've got to expand our work. So it led to us doing the renovation project. And gosh, I've learned that I am not good at DIY. That was the biggest thing that I learned in that time, but it was an amazing time.
Yeah, it was so amazing. I think seeing the church all playing their part, from prayer to giving financially to giving of their time and energy and building, was just such an amazing time of unity, and that we're all in this together and really seeing God's hand in it, His vision for us as a church, and building that momentum that He hadn't finished with us.
We had finished the building work at the end of January 2020. We were doing multiple services, nights of worship, people making decisions to follow Jesus. Everything was going so well. And then
from this evening, I must give the British people a very simple instruction. You must stay at home.
We couldn't believe it. I mean, a worldwide pandemic. We had just finished the building project, but all of a sudden that seemed completely irrelevant. And, there was heartbreak, there was fear throughout the society and confusion, disruption, chaos, all these things. And without Sundays and without the stabilizer, the church program, do we have a church? You know, what is going to happen next? And I love that God always is telling a story. And there was so much that God brought out of that, purifying our motives, redefining what we believe success is. But the biggest message that we got out of the COVID season really is that the church is the people. That the church is not a building, that it is not a facility, it's not a monument, but it's a movement of people. And it was unbelievable. It was so amazing seeing how people just came together, and through creativity, through hard work, through sacrifice, we made it happen.
As we came out of COVID, we really saw such need in our local community, in our city, and in our local surrounding areas. At that amazing time was birthed CityCoast Care, and that really is our social action arm of the church. And really was a calling that we felt God placed on us as a church, to love people, to do whatever we can to really just serve people, and to give of our time, our finances, money, to pray and to serve in any way that we can. And so we've had seasonal projects from Christmas hampers going to local hostels. We've had one-off projects like the playground project where we partnered with, oh my goodness, it was a long time. It was a lot.
Every moment.
It was worth every moment. We partnered with
I still got blisters, I think.
a special educational needs school, and completely refurbished their playground. And to see the look on those children's faces when they saw that playground was just, you can't even put it into words. And so, and then also, obviously we have regular projects as well, like Tea Time Talk, serving the older generation of our community as well. And so it's been an amazing season to see the social arm of our church to really reach out to those in need in our local community and in our city. Has been an honor to be able to do that.
At the end of 2022, we felt God really give us the green light for planting a church in Worthing. I think this sense that we've got not just a local vision, but a national vision, that, you know, the commission of Jesus is as big as a nation, as small as a neighborhood. And I think that season was an exciting one, because we felt like, God was stirring us to plant and, you know, connecting again with the incredible heritage that we had as the church and our incredible INC family. And it's been an amazing year, probably that journey of just going, okay, God, this is what you're doing. We're going to trust you. We're not sure what it looks like, but we want to trust you. And then seeing the church come around it. And so we're excited about it, aren't we?
We're so excited. There's just been so many things that we've started the preparation of, where we've had prayer walks, we've had nights of worship, which have been just so incredible. And then what's exciting is we're launching Alpha in 2023 in Worthing, which is just such an incredible opportunity. And so we're so excited about that. And then, of course, the plant of the church, which we are over the moon about.
Cannot wait.
2024 is going to be a big year, and there's lots ahead.
And amazing that we get to partner with some amazing churches who've been just sowing so much into the town of Worthing for so many years. We honestly, we truly believe that we are only just getting started as a church, that there are more people to be reached, more cities to plant churches in. God has got a huge plan for this church and this community. And while we love serving locally and we'll continue to serve our city with everything we have, we also know God is calling us to plant out, that there is a nation to be won. And that's our heart, that's our desire, is to play our part, to see Jesus in everything.
Absolutely. I think that's the thing where we've come this far. We've had 30 incredible years, and that's just, you know, so amazing to look back on. And it's brought us to this moment now. But really knowing God has so much more, and what is to come is really for us to be able to best serve the next generations, for kids and grandkids and all those to come. It's like the next generations. We want to leave the best legacy and the best, all the best that we can give to the next generation.
Absolutely, because we've grown up in this church, and so we've seen generation after generation faithfully serve in a way that just inspires us to the core. And we're so thankful, together with so many amazing people, from staff to volunteers to someone who just comes on a Sunday. We get to build together. It's what Paul says in Ephesians. He says God is building a home and he's using us all irrespective of how we got here. And how cool is that?
Yeah.
We can be great friends doing great things together, serving God's vision to see our city one and our nation impacted with the gospel.